Greetings to all and welcome to Inside Africa, our insider look at Walmart in Africa. Today, we have four experts who will take us through Walmart's expansion into South Africa. They are Daniel, Kenneth, Alvin, and myself, Frederick. We will look to answer four key questions in analyzing Walmart's business approach. These questions help us assess key variables to competing effectively in South Africa. They are: is South Africa an attractive market? Secondly, we will answer, how can Walmart effectively expand and position itself in South Africa? Lastly, we will look at how can Walmart differentiate itself effectively. Let us begin with a brief overview of Walmart. It is an American multinational corporation which operates hypermarkets, discount department stores, and grocery stores. In recent years, Walmart has had to expand internationally in order to maintain its company's growth. It experienced mixed results, succeeding in Mexico, but not in Germany and Korea. For this edition of Inside Africa, we will analyze the business's expansion into South Africa, firstly by looking at Porter's 5 forces. Let us look at South Africa as a market for Walmart to enter into. The big question when evaluating the country is South Africa attractive? In order to help us determine that, we have our trusty friend Porter and his 5 forces, which have been found to be key determinants for analyzing market attractiveness. We will use Porter's 5 forces to evaluate South Africa across 5 different dimensions. They are the threat of new entrants, bargaining power of suppliers, bargaining power of buyers, the threat of substitute products or services, and lastly, rivalry among existing competitors. Let us take a look at the threat of new entrants. As a whole, this factor will be assessed in 2 ways. Firstly, reasons that make South Africa attractive to investors, and secondly, the barriers to entry for new businesses. The economic environment makes South Africa an attractive market for new entrants. 6 of the 10 fastest growing economies are in Africa. With the exception of South Africa, modern trade is at an early stage of development. The economic performance and current state of development reflect that companies can expect the market to grow significantly. In order to take advantage of the forecast increase in demand, companies would wish to establish their presence in the country early on. Furthermore, given that South Africa has better infrastructure compared to other countries in Africa, it would make a good entry point into the African market as a whole. Other notable patterns in the market include the fact that consumers rely heavily on small local grocery stores for food and liquor purchases. This presents an opportunity which can be taken advantage of by bigger firms. The ability to import cheaper products or use the economies of scale is a significant advantage which may enable them to price out smaller local retailers. Next, we will review some of the key barriers to entry for new businesses. Firstly, South Africa has strict anti-competition laws in order to protect local businesses. Unions hold a significant influence over businesses as they lobby for increased wages and fairer treatment of workers. These factors, along with varying degrees of local corruption, increase the difficulty of entry for foreign businesses and large corporations. However, these factors are mitigated by the fact that Walmart is a foreign-owned company. Its entry into the South African market has increased foreign investment in South Africa, and it may have made it easier for other foreign companies to enter the market. The attractiveness and profitability of the South African market make such deterrence less of a factor for foreign firms. Thus, South Africa's attractiveness as a market is low based on the threat of new entrants. Secondly, the next force to look at is the bargaining power of suppliers. We will weigh up the factors which contribute to supplier bargaining power against those that serve to reduce it. Here are some reasons for reduced supplier bargaining power. Firstly, the economies of scale and the ability to import reduces supplier bargaining power. The fact that there are many small local producers indicates that alternative suppliers are plentiful. As the business has many alternatives to source the same goods from, suppliers have less influence to dictate the prices for the business. Another indication of the multiple alternatives is the fact that 55% of consumer goods sales are from these 5 supermarket store brands. They are Tiger Brands, Pioneer Foods, Food Corp, Nestle, and Unilever. Additionally, South Africa provides a good manufacturing base in the food and beverages industry. There is adequate infrastructure for Walmart to obtain supplies domestically. Furthermore, there's a potential opportunity for Walmart. In the long term, suppliers may be dependent on Massmart for earnings and lose bargaining power if they fail to diversify in selling to multiple buyers. This allows Massmart to dictate the terms of the agreements with the suppliers for the supply of goods, and thus this increases the business's bargaining power with its suppliers. One reason for decreased supplier bargaining power is the limitation on imports due to anti-competition laws. This, however, is mitigated by the availability of local producers and the infrastructure for local manufacturing. Thus, the overall attractiveness for the bargaining power of suppliers is high. This is due to the competitiveness and variety of options amongst the existing suppliers. The next force we have to analyze is the buyer bargaining power. This will be split into factors favoring buyers and factors disadvantaging buyers. There are several factors advantaging the buyers in terms of bargaining power. The key factors we have identified are reputation, brand loyalty, purchasing power, and perceived switching costs. Past purchases and known brands are what consumers base their purchases on. In South Africa, a large portion of consumers have limited purchasing power. This informs their purchasing decisions, where brand loyalty and reputation holds great influence, as they do not wish to buy what may be an inferior product. Next are the disadvantages against buyer bargaining power. The key factors influencing this are the minimal product differentiation, buyer price sensitivity, and small volume purchases by consumers. All these factors contribute to reduced buyer power, as switching costs are low. Consumers are increasingly price sensitive, and individual consumers do not hold much influence over large retailers due to the quantities they purchase in relation to revenue. Having weighed up the factors favoring buyers and disadvantaging them in terms of bargaining power, we believe that the South African market is highly attractive for Walmart. The fourth of Porter's 5 forces that needs to be used to assess South Africa's attractiveness is the threat of substitutes. There are many factors favoring Walmart. Among these are the fact that there are few viable substitutes due to the nature of the wholesale consumer goods retail sector. This is the main reason for the threat of substitutes being assessed as low. Some factors that are crucial in assessing the threat of substitutes are the switching costs, existence of beneficial alternatives, as well as the existence of cheap alternatives. The main alternatives that have been identified are from the food and beverage industry, as well as the subsistence agriculture industry. Both of these do not directly compete with Walmart on a significant scale. Thus, in spite of the low switching costs, there is little threat from outside the industry. On the basis of threats of substitutes, South Africa is an attractive market for Walmart. The last of Porter's 5 forces to assess South Africa on is the existing rivalry among competitors. We have found that the consumer retail goods sector is highly competitive, with multiple rivals within the industry. Some unfavorable factors are the number of competitors, the ease of entry and expansion, as well as the low switching costs. There is intense rivalry in South Africa as businesses engage in price wars. Large retailers have little product differentiation, and the most viable strategy is to depress prices. This is further exacerbated by the higher price sensitivity among consumers. Another factor contributing to aggressive competition is that the main retailers are dependent on food for revenue. To summarize, assessing the food and liquor market in South Africa using Porter's 5 forces, the market is attractive, moderately attractive for Walmart. To summarize the conclusions of our Porter's 5 forces analysis, we'll run through each of these 5 dimensions individually. Firstly, the threat of new entrants was found to be low in terms of attractiveness. The bargaining power of suppliers was high. The bargaining power of buyers was assessed to be highly attractive. The threat of substitute products and services was found to be another reason for the South African market to be highly attractive. Lastly, we looked at the rivalry among existing competitors, and this was found to be of moderate attractiveness. Thus, in terms of weighing up these 5 factors, we found that the South African market is of moderate attractiveness to Walmart.
Walmart is widely renowned as a pioneer in its industry for introducing low-cost household goods that meets everyday low prices that is unmatched or replicated by their competitors. Positioning in Africa would have to be similar to the US model of providing everyday low prices to their customers. Low-cost provider strategy is adopted by Walmart as the African nations, apart from South Africa, is facing poverty with low disposable incomes, although there has been a rise in disposable income over the years. With an approximate population of 53 million in South Africa, the target market is broad, which enables Walmart to create value for customers on an industry-wide basis, with the goods provided being categorized under household necessities. Lower cost competitive advantage would not be an easy feat to emulate in Africa once they first enter, as it would be a challenge competing with ShopRite, which is the #1 retailer in Africa. Walmart has a clear differentiation strategy of pricing. Everything that Walmart does is specifically selected to keep prices low. This includes their famous rollback pricing strategy, designed to constantly monitor competitor pricing and offer a lower price. In order to maintain low prices and achieving high revenue and profits comes through the ability to run daily operations and securing efficient storage space and logistics system that ensures smooth deliveries and wholesale purchases at lower costs. Even their innovative stock methods prove to be very efficient within their supply chain management. This is how Walmart is able to maintain their low prices.
There is huge potential for Walmart in Africa, and they have taken the first step in the right direction by establishing a joint venture with Massmart, which is the third largest retailer in Africa. This would be a key strategic alliance, as Massmart would have the in-depth knowledge of tailoring the products to suit the taste of the locals. This is a key success factor for Walmart, as they are not repeating the mistakes made in Germany and South Korea. Massmart would be a key driving factor of assisting Walmart in long-term strategic goals of establishing themselves as a frontrunner in Africa once they can fully compete with ShopRite. With rising disposable incomes in poverty-stricken Africa, their US business model of everyday low prices might just prove to be a success. In this strategy map, we can see the difference with how Massmart has positioned itself against its competitors. The x-axis shows the spread of costs, while the y-axis shows the spread of quantified goods. ShopRite has the largest market share on the top left, followed by Pick n Pay, which is in second place, that focuses on non-wholesale goods. The third largest in terms of market share is Massmart, which is currently behind their main competitor ShopRite. Spar has the smallest market share, as they are focused on partial sales at mid-tier pricing that differentiates them directly from ShopRite and Massmart. Walmart faced an initial struggle in Africa due to a coalition of unions and politicians that opposed their entry due to future job losses or outsourcing. But with both parties finding common ground with certain regulations and criteria, they have the ability to work with Massmart to further their goals in Africa. Massmart's slow inroads into the rest of the continent, touted as the next big growth area, highlight the challenges of doing business in Africa and raises questions about Walmart's goal of rapid expansion abroad. A severe shortage of shopping infrastructure, ShopRite started setting up warehouses and partnering with developers to build shopping centers, and that's why it is in its quick store rollout phase, whereas Massmart is a little bit behind. Among the biggest challenges would be haphazard property laws and poor infrastructure. The biggest is the shortage of real estate space and big malls. Recently, Massmart has started setting up its own standalone stores and was also considering partnering with landlords on building properties. This would enable them to position themselves better in the market.
Multinationals in the globalized economy today can engage in international business to capture larger market size, gain experience and realize economies of scale, and gain locational advantage to further strengthen its national competitive advantage, discussed as the Porter's Diamond. Walmart, along with other multinationals, need an international strategy when expanding globally to remain competitive in foreign markets. Variations of international strategies depend on impositions of the firm's approach to build an efficient value chain and or to maximize local responsiveness and gain local demand. There are three main international strategies: global strategy, multi-domestic strategy, and transnational strategy, all of which Walmart have used previously in different market economies. The central factor of the global strategy is to achieve efficiency and realize economies of scale by standardizing products across global markets, which helps reduce cost of production. This strategy relies on centralized, interdependent strategic business units to make business decisions and manage operation on the global scale over different markets. Multi-domestic strategy differs from the global strategy as products are not necessarily standardized but could be customized to meet local demands and gain local responsiveness. This strategy supports that strategic business units are independent and decentralized across global markets in different market conditions. The interdependent strategic business units have the flexibility to create local responsiveness for the firm. When Walmart entered the German market, they faced strong price competition from their rivals and tried to customize their products without fully understanding the local demands and needs. This resulted in a higher cost of production, and Walmart had to exit the German market because they failed to create local responsiveness. The transnational strategy supports a global vision but with customized implementations by decentralized strategic business units to cater for local demands in various market conditions. This strategy supports iterations of organizational learning and performance improvements, emphasize on maximizing efficiency, taking advantage of localization, and location advantage. On September 2010, Walmart joint ventured with Massmart in Africa with transnational strategy. Walmart is to strategically centralize and decentralize strategic business units across Africa alongside Massmart with their global vision. Interdependent strategic business units in charge of operation management should be centralized for greater control. For instance, Walmart's efficient zero inventory management is to be controlled efficiently to counter against poor infrastructure issues in Africa. This level of efficiency will help Walmart be more cost competitive against competitors like ShopRite. On the other hand, independent strategic business units that manage product development should be decentralized and given flexibility to learn about local needs and maximize local responsiveness. This will boost local demands and help Walmart and Massmart gain a larger market size. With more demands, Walmart can further experience the learning curve and increase efficiency by producing at economies of scale. In a nutshell, the joint venture between Walmart and Massmart is a strategic move for both firms to capitalize the transnational strategy on a global scale. Africa has a large enough population, and with increased local responsiveness, Walmart can correct their entry failure in Germany and mimic its success in the United Kingdom. Local responsiveness creates demand, which enables firms to become more cost efficient in their business integration and create value in their global supply chain.
Does Walmart have a sustainable source of competitive advantages? To answer this question, we have to go through several steps. Here are 6 analyses we are going to analyze: supply chain, local adaptation, customer service, price, distribution and logistics, and inventory management. In this diagram, we can see that Massmart, with the help of Walmart, doesn't really have a competitive advantages in African market. However, we are going to analyze further whether Massmart are able to compete with their top competitors by analyzing the Fryer model. V for value, R for rarity, I for immutability, and lastly O for organization. What is exactly Fryer model? Fryer model is a model that will analyze whether they fulfill the 4 criteria to show whether they have a sustainable source of competitive advantages. The first of the model, V, the Fryer model, is for value. It is to analyze whether Walmart is able to neutralize an external threat with the current resources they have, and their capabilities to take the opportunity in the current situations. The resources they have, such as intangible and tangible assets, are very valuable. The intangible assets they have, such as supplier relationships, experiences, cultural adaptations, goodwill, which provide the real values of the stocks. Likewise, the tangible assets they have are very valuable as well, such as their buildings, stocks, workers, and etc. However, the problem that arises in Africa is not favoring Massmart to advance further as a company. Well, the problems such as poor infrastructure and unreliable transportation system, which cause a difficulty in the supply chains management within the firm, which restrict the condition of trade. It limits their products, and it is difficult for them to follow their value, which is EDLP, everyday low price. Walmart also have to agree with African agreement that their products should be fresh and bought from locals. Therefore, it is hard for Walmart to have a competitive advantages in supplying their products compared to their top competitors such as ShopRite and Pick and Pay. While in the short run, they will experience these problems. With the time and experience they had with previous attempts in distributing their business internationally, such as Mexico and China, they will eventually find solutions. Eventually, they might have a chance to recover their loss by engaging and improving their market in Africa and adapting to African cultures, and also seek for connection that will assist them. Now let's back to the point. What is the real value of Massmart? There are 4 things that we're going to talk about: distribution and logistics, technology, inventory control, and high responsiveness. These 4 shows the sustainable source of competitive advantages that Massmart obtained for Walmart. Next is R for rarity, which analyzes whether the resources Massmart have are in the hands of a few. Inventory and supplier management both are difficult and takes a long time to obtain. However, with the help of Walmart, Massmart able to implement their internal management systems. These systems such as UPC, Universal Product Code, EDI, Electronic Data Interchange, and RFID, Radio Frequency Identification. RFID specifically is special, and few have used it. What is the benefit of it? It helps a drastic reduction in stock out situations, lessen labor requirements, and decrease the chance of merchandise theft. Walmart, together with Massmart, has an advantage over their just-time delivery management and has reduced their cost and inventory. Unlike most competitors in Africa, Massmart have something that is far more valuable and hard to attain: massive supply chains internationally. With the experience they had, they will be able to gain multiple suppliers in Africa. In the long run, Massmart might be able to have a competitive advantages against the competitors in Africa. Next is for imitability. It says whether Massmart is difficult to imitate, and shows whether there will be a significant disadvantages to a firm trying to obtain, develop, or duplicate the resources. As Walmart merged with Massmart, they will implement their main strategy, which is EDLP. This strategy could lead to severe loss if not managed properly. However, with experience and the management control, they are able to sustain it, which cannot be imitated by other competitors. In the short run, the competitors are able to imitate and cope with their prices. However, in the long run, the competitors such as ShopRite and PicPay might not be able to imitate with their prices because they are not able to sustain with Massmart prices. Walmart supply chain management has been the key to their success. With its management system, Massmart will have an advantages against the competitors. In 2011, conditions were made when Walmart merged with Massmart. Walmart must freeze job cuts for the next 2 years in order to honor union bargaining agreements for 3 years and invest $100 million in rent in its supply chain training program to improve competitiveness of local industry. In addition, they will have infrastructural barriers for transportations. These conditions forces Massmart to take quick actions and adapt to changes and difficulties such as poor and unreliable transportation system in Africa, weak public safety securities, and high crime rates. Yes, in the short run, it is difficult for them to compete with their top competitors. However, in the long run, by adapting to local, achieving greater customer loyalty, and better infrastructure management, they will surely able to rise to the top. Last and not least, O for organization, which tells whether Massmart is ready and able to exploit their resources. Which tells the question, is Massmart organized to capture its value? As Massmart merged with Walmart and entered the market, their competitors such as ShopRite and PicPay have early advantages. However, with the limitation they have, Massmart able to take their third rank as the top retailer in Africa. What does this mean? Despite their limitations, they are able to sustain their promises to their customers, which is EDLP. This tells that Massmart does have a sustainable competitive advantages. However, it will take time for them to be able to break their limitations and reach the top in African market.
Let me conclude by giving a summary of our findings. Firstly, South Africa remains an attractive market for Walmart. Secondly, the company has effectively used a transnational strategy to expand and localize its business model. Thirdly, Walmart should continue to position itself as a low-cost producer. And lastly, Walmart needs to invest in infrastructure to develop sustainable competitive advantage. Thus, Walmart ought to stay in South Africa and invest wisely to build up its business and maximize the opportunities in the country.